Welcome back to Community Tapestry, and if you're just now joining us, my name is Napoleon Bell, and I'm the Executive Director with the City of Columbus Community Relations Commission. I'd like to welcome you to the show, and also if you're just joining us, you might see something that's missing over here to my left, which was my co-host, and she's off sunning in the sun, probably somewhere nice and warm once again, so won't hold that against her. But once again, it is warm here in the studio, and that's what matters because we are celebrating Black History Month. And when I think about Black History Month here in the city of Columbus, we think about who's been around a long time, and as far as what media, and we kind of focused on media, also with two icons in our previous segment, but I also have two icons in this segment who has been dealing with the media or has been part of the media since the 60s, which we all know as who would we all listen to on the radio was WVKO. WVKO has been a mainstay here in the city of Columbus with Black radio and where I would tune into, and so many of my other friends and relatives would tune into to hear what's going on in the city, but also to hear that great music also. So it's with my pleasure to introduce our guests for the program. We have, directly in front of me, we have Elder Michael D. Reeves. He's senior, who's the pastor of Corinthians Missionary Baptist Church, but also the program manager for WVKO. I'd like to welcome you to the program.
Glad to be here.
And then also next to him, we have Mr. Bishop Melvin Griffin, who's the pastor and founder of Resurrection Ministries for All People. I'd like to welcome you to the program.
Thank you, my friend.
And
Pleasure
also, I believe,
here.
an on-air talent with WVKO, too.
For many years.
All right. Well, glad to have both of you on the program. This is going to be like old times reminiscing.
Old times.
You know, I'm excited to hear because I'm starting to hear the music going in, and all that.
Here comes the Temptations.
Yeah. Exactly right. Well, I believe, Pastor Reeves, you've been part of VKO though since '68.
Since
1968.
Summer of '68.
So, take our audience back in time to 1968, WVKO. What was going on during that time that you decided, and what were you doing? Were you a talk show host, or what were you doing then?
Well, I tell you, actually what happened was it started in June of 1967. And coming out fresh out of high school, I called the radio station because that's what we had kind of majored in high school, and asked if I could get an internship. And he said, come up. Bill Moss told me to come up. And I came up, and he put me on the air that day.
Oh.
And what happened was I started doing news, and I had a little news office, which was probably about as big as this table with a teletype machine. I called my mom. I said, Mom, I'm going to be on the radio. I'm going to read the news on the radio. And so I did that. And about the first weekend, I thought that to be a good newsman, I needed a pipe. So I got a pipe. And I was big stuff, 18.
Right.
And so the second week, I go into the studio and I say, Bill, how do I sound? And he says, not good. I got to let you go. I'm like,
oh my God.
No, please don't let me go. I just called my mom, And so that first stint was 2 weeks. And then he told me to go home and practice. And I practiced, and I got a job. Practice and got a job, and then got married, got a job, and in 1968 I started doing evening work with Les Brown, and Les Brown was the man at that time in Columbus, Ohio.
Yes.
And so we started doing that, and those are the times when Dr. King in 1968, April of that year, had gotten assassinated. And, Robert Kennedy in June of that same year got assassinated. And the riots and all those kind of things. And we even had a little riot here,
Wow.
And we stayed on the air because of the emergency. We were a daytime station, and we were able to stay on the air all for like 24 hours straight to try to keep people in and kind of cool things down. And then after that, it just became a fun place to be because it was personality driven. And radio today is so much different. I think corporate America has really messed up black radio in that they've taken away personality and everything is more robotic. And now we're bringing that back to the new WVKO. And it's been fun. It's been a great ride. So I've been in radio a long time and love it. Worked in TV for a while.
Okay.
And at Channel 4 when it was WLWC. And those are some good days, or learning days. I've always liked media, but I like radio better. And I think that I was more able to be creative and to develop, In fact, my radio name was Michael the Lover, if you can believe that.
Oh my God. Michael the Lover.
Yeah. Before him, there was no other.
Yeah.
I mean, those were the days where everything that we did, we had to create.
Had fun.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that, we became family.
Mm-hmm.
And even today, I have folk who listened to me when they were kids.
Okay.
And say, I remember when you were on the radio, and when we used to have the skating parties and the teen hoppers ball and all those kind of things, And those are some good days. Those were some fun days. The music was great. Some of the greatest artists of our time came out during that period of time. Had some great music.
Wow.
In fact, I tell my sons, I said, I don't know what you all are going to listen to for oldies, because what I'm hearing is it's like there's no oldies. There's nothing else you really want to listen to. So.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, because you can just kind of picture that, with all the dances going on and people being involved. You say even the artists would, come in,
Yes.
and it wasn't a big deal.
That's right.
And so now you came on in the radio about 70, 71, sometime in there?
That's when I got my first job.
Okay.
I actually was hanging around around the year of 1968. And the only reason why Bill Moss would not put me on the air was because I had a hard time trying to know how to read. I just
Okay.
didn't know how to read that well.
Wow, okay.
And I was so fascinated, man. I was just so fascinated by the equipment and things that I was surrounded by at the radio station. I made this little tape, and I took it up to Bill Moss, and I said, hey, Bill, check this out. And I got the same response that Pastor Reeves got. I got mine immediately.
Bill was not short on words.
And I called him back the next day. I said, Bill, what did you think about my audition tape? He said, oh, what time is it? I said, oh, it's around 10 a.m. He said, it should be in the trash can by now. Sanitation workers probably picked it up by now. I mean, he just crushed me.
Right.
And he said, son, you have a long ways to go. And so I actually got under the wings of Pastor Reeves. And
Okay.
Pastor Reeves being on board, and I shared with him the handicap that I had, and asked him to help me out. And this man took me into the production room, balled up newspapers, and put them in my jaw. It made me pronunciate.
Oh, my gosh.
And just read news and help me break down the syllables of words. And then I went on to Central State University, where I got a scholarship in music and took a reading course. And Les Brown then, who became program director in my return, promised me that he would give me a weekend job if I learned how to read. And so I proved to him that I could read, and he gave me a part-time job, and I got connected to the family of WVKO ever
Right.
since.
What was your name?
My name was
Here we go.
Happy Mel, the kind of guy the girls want to see and the guys want to be. If I can't be good to you, I'll be good for you. I'm what you get when you're tired of what you got.
Oh my gosh! You gotta love it when you hear that DJ voice.
Yeah.
It's just we got one for you, right?
But as Pastor Reeves was saying, lots of fun. We've learned a lot. We were around icons ourselves. Some of the Eddie Saunders, who broke the pave for us.
He broke the door
barrier,
down.
man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, for us to walk in that shoe of Eddie Saunders, and who set the vision for us, who was the visionary. And then you had Eddie Castleberry and some of these other names like. Who was the gentleman?
Thompson?
Ed Thompson, who worked at WBNS TV. I mean, we worked around some dynamic icons.
Your previous guest
Ann
Miss Ann
Walker.
at WVK.
Yes.
Right.
Ann Walker.
She was the lady.
Yes.
I mean, she did some very creative things at WVKO.
Yes.
And we, as young people, we used to listen to her and to her teen show that she would do on Saturdays. You know,
talking about that.
Yes, yes,
and
yes,
you know,
yes.
and so when you look at the history and the people who have passed through, and I can't forget the late Kirk Bishop, who
really opened the doors for us.
really, I mean, Kirk came on the air in the 10th grade in high school.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh.
Kirk was on the air in 10th grade, and I was disappointed because I thought that I should have gotten the job, you know, before him. But you know, good things come to those who wait.
Yeah,
You have to
yeah.
prepare yourself for opportunities. You know, opportunities come, but you need to be in position to be able to take those opportunities.
Right.
And Kirk had that big, deep voice, man. And
KB.
the mighty KB, I mean, he became a legend to the kids.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
he knew all the high schools. I mean, he was just on it. He was on like
Right.
7 to midnight, Monday through Friday. And I can't forget people like that.
Right.
Vivacious Vi Clark. Who knew jazz, I mean, who did the Sunday jazz piece and all that
Okay.
kind of stuff.
Okay.
I mean, there were some great folk that came out. And when you look at the people who've come out of WVKO, and in particular, in our tenure, Les Brown, state representative, one of the greatest motivational speakers
Right.
in the world right now.
Yes.
He's world renowned. He and I are both pastors. I'm serving my 38th year in my church. I mean, there's just been so many people. Mike Williams, who was the motivator for Les, to get him motivated and for him to change where he was. A lot of great folk
Bill
came
Moss.
out. Bill Moss, you know, school board member for many, many years. And a lot of great folk, and certainly Eddie Saunders, who paved the way. Sometimes I think people don't understand the importance of what that radio station was and what he had to go through. For example, they wouldn't give him a desk. He had to buy his own desk. He was a salesperson, and he had to buy his own desk. You know, he had to sell time for his show to be on the air.
Wow.
And I mean, just the things that he went through as an African American to pave the way. In fact, what nobody knows is that it was his brainchild for WVKO to become a black radio station.
Okay.
WVKO had an FM station, and it was WSPO, which was for sports.
Okay.
And Bert Charles did a lot of sports. He broadcast the Buckeyes for many, many years. In fact, he was the voice of the Buckeyes for many years until they made the switch. And so WVKO FM was the sports piece, and they were starting to lose money. And Eddie said, I got an idea in 1963. And that's when they changed the format to the black formatted radio station with the R&B, et cetera, et cetera. And from that point, the rest is history.
Wow.
So I think the community owes a lot to Eddie Saunders, and I know we would not be remiss not to say, you know what, as we celebrate Black history, not to remember the people who helped us to get to where we are.
Right.
And so whatever success we have, we're standing on the shoulders of somebody else that had to knock a door down for us to get through.
Well, and what I'm hearing from both of you is that on that point is that it took that mentorship. It took that person to bring you along and says, you know, here's how we're going to do this. We're going to get you in here, but here's what you need to do.
Yes, yes.
You know.
And times were different then, opposed to the way they are today. You have schools, you have the different theory of radio and TV. Back then, it was down home, backyard, what you know about radio. This was your icon, this was your leader, this was your program director. Whatever he says, you have to do. And if you want to learn radio, you have to learn it from this aspect rather than go to school, because we could not afford to go to school, to broadcasting school. So we had to learn it right there in the studio, which means that it brought a different relationship because we became family.
Community became family.
We embraced everyone, and everyone embraced us.
You know, and I don't want to hold the conversation, but in the peak of my career, it was exciting to walk down Mount Vernon on Saturday, and folks say, "Hey, Mike Reeves, how you doing, man? I listen. Send me out a shout. Send out a dedication."
Right.
You know,
right.
it was like family. And with the new radio station that we have now, That's what we want to bring back to our community.
That's what it sounds like. I mean, you know, when you listen to it, you have that feel.
Yes.
This is a local radio station.
Yes.
This is right there.
It's not corporate. It's us.
Right.
Right.
And we want to be the voice of the people, to give people an opportunity. And
Now, it's 1580 The Praise.
yes.
Now, how'd you come up with that? 1580 The Praise. Why is it The Praise?
Okay. You want to go?
Yes, I'm going to start first. When we got the vision to go forth with the radio station after being dismissed from our previous station that we worked at, and we've gotten this vision to go forth to start a radio station, we didn't know where we was going to go. And we came up with the idea, hey, let's try going after our mother station, the station where we were birthed from, out of. And after checking into that, we found out that the availability was there.
Wow.
So, making a long story short, when we came up with the theme of our station, the logo of our station, AM 15, I think we kind of played around with it a little bit. WVKO, AM 1580, and we came back and said, okay, 1580 AM, WVKO. Then we stopped. I was laying in bed one night, and I called up and I said, Reeves, that's, all right. You know, that's the brother name there. That's outside of church. Okay?
Right.
I said, the praise. He said, AM 1580, WVKO, the praise. Praise. Let's give God praise through our radio station to the community.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the things that we said at the onset, that God would bless us with this radio station, it was going to be his station.
Yes.
Okay.
And we want it to be a kingdom station.
Okay.
We've had offers from people who said, hey, we'll give you some money if you'll do oldie but goodies, if you'll add in some R&B.
Yes.
And our commitment to him was, we're going to be an unashamedly Christian, unashamedly gospel, and we don't call it inspiration radio. We call it AM 1580 WVKO, the praise, the best in gospel, the voice of the people.
The voice of the people.
And
he just recently came up with that about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And kind of just walked ourselves into it.
Well, and this is amazing when you talk about, you know, you come to a crossroads that says, okay, we've got to find, we want to do something. We want to be, you know, and let's do a radio station. And then for it to just things coming to a line that WBKO was available.
It was available.
I mean, so things were meant to happen.
Yes, and we believe that.
Where our station is right now, everything that we've done, and I don't want to sound preachy, but everything that we've done has been God moved. When 2 weeks before we were supposed to go on the air, we didn't have a house. We didn't have a home. And so I'm driving around, and I came up Livingston, and I saw this sign on the curb, office space for lease. So I called from my car, and they said, well, can you come tomorrow? And I said, no, can I come today? And so I called him. I said, hey, meet me at Barnett and Livingston, and we're going to go and look at this office space. We would go in. It's right next door to Christ Memorial Baptist Church. We go upstairs, and we go in, and we're walking around, and you can see ideas like popping. I mean, just popping. And the next thing, I looked at him, and I just started crying. I said, man, this is it. This is where we need to be.
Right.
And I told the lady, and I was hoping that she didn't think I was having a nervous breakdown. I said, this is where we need to be. This is it. And she said, well, you know, I'm telling you, this is the only one we have left. I said, this is ours. We want it.
Right.
So they went and got back with us, and that's where we are. And it's been a match made in heaven.
Right.
Yes.
It's been a match made in heaven. Christ Memorial owns the building.
Okay.
And they have been so wonderful to us.
So kind.
And making sure that we have everything that we need. Their maintenance people make sure that everything is taken care of. I mean, it's been a match made in heaven.
Wow.
And just to see how God has put everything together. The other piece is that not only are we unashamedly Christian and gospel, but we're unapologetically black.
Okay.
We can't apologize for who we are.
Okay.
And we've done that enough. And I think it's a good place to say, as African Americans, and we celebrate black history, when I looked at all of the radio stations in Columbus, I listened to see how much was really being programmed to us. And as I listened to the radio stations, it's unfortunate that none were programming gospel music to our community. And Ann Walker, who I love, who was your previous guest, that is my heart. She said to us one day, she says, you know what? The white media does not cover our community like it should. Here's a person who's been around the world, who's walked with kings and queens.
Oh, yes.
And I respect what she says. I respect her opinion, and that just has resonated in my mind, and I hear it over and over. And so what we've tried to do is to give a positive approach, tell the truth, but to do it in a way that we love people. As pastors, that you got to love people. I mean, that's who we are. That's what we do. But I also think that our people need to know when there's danger. They need to know when our community is in trouble. They need to know about things that are going on downtown. They need to know about their health. And we've been able to integrate all of that in our programming. We have a talk show, Let's Talk About Health, with Dr. Mark White and Dr. Victor McCoy, Lily, who does a fantastic job moderating that show. We feature local artists, which we were not permitted to play at our other place. And so it's about community. It's about reaching out and bringing our community back together. And those, I can remember one 4th of July, we would always broadcast from Franklin Park. And we did a live remote at Franklin Park, and all of the people, we never had a shooting. We never had fights. It was just a great time where we all came together and we had a ball.
Well, let me ask you this, because we're running out of a little bit of time here, but radio stations don't run on air.
Absolutely.
They and you're in the community, and you're giving to the community, really some inspiration, but also the truth, as you talk about. How can the community, or how can others get involved? Because I know, this isn't just I'm gonna write a check, because it does take something to make a radio station happen. Absolutely. How can the community get involved with the new WVKO?
First of all, we invite you to listen. We want you to hear our product. We ask the people to hear our product. Okay. As many people that know that we are on the air, there are that many who don't know that we are on the air. Right. So we invite you, if this is your first time listening and watching this program, please tune in to AM 1580 WVKO and just listen to us. Pastor Reeves?
And then the other piece is, in the mornings we have Yolanda Adams and the morning show, fantastic job. In the evening is James Fortune, national recording artist, who does a fantastic job in the evening. But to answer your question directly, we have, our company is called Gold Chip Communications. We also have a 501c3 part of our corporation, which is Gold Chip Foundation. You can make a donation, a tax deductible donation to Gold Chip Foundation. And you can go on our website, and you can do it online. You can send a check to AM 1580 WVKO The Praise, 3360 East Livingston Avenue, Suite 2A, Columbus, Ohio, 43227. And, I'm excited about where we are and what we're doing. And we do need, and I don't say it unashamedly, we do need, and you hit it on the head.
We need the donations.
It's expensive. It's expensive to do it.
Totally understand. And so we're out of time. But we're out of time with WVKO, because we're going to be listening to, how's it, WVKO 1580 The Praise?
Yes.
I got it right.
1580.
AM 1580. I'm going to get my DJ voice.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
All right. Listen to WVKO 1580 The Praise.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much,
We appreciate
Napoleon.
it so very, very much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much. And we'll be listening.
Thank
And
you.
we hope that our viewing audience will be listening to the new WBKO. They've been around for 40, 50 years or so, and even more. They are a point in the community that makes the difference here in the city of Columbus. So make sure you listen. And I thank you for viewing in to Community Tapestry, and we'll see you real soon. Have a great week.